So as far as it is right now, this is in early access. There's probably a lot that will change. There's probably a lot that will be removed or added, so on and so forth. A couple key things to note right off the bat for this review. There is no inventory system, and the developer has said as much that he doesn't plan on adding any kind of inventory system. I think he said that he doesn't want it to be a game like that. Every item you pick up, you can only hold the item that you have. You can equip certain items, but then you can still only carry one item in your hand at one time. So if you're going to use a hammer, you got to go walk wherever you left it last and bring it back. Almost like, I don't know, real life. However, that being said, that kind of sounds tedious. I will say that the entire process of learning this game from the ground up, because there aren't a lot of tutorials out right now because the 2.2 or 2.0 update just came out. This experience in the beginning is very charming and incredibly well polished for what it is. I thought it was pretty boring. Satisfactory and Factorio seem more interesting. It's not my genre. Then again, the amount of times I think I'm just very easily bored. Fair enough. And I think that's a fair thing to make a point of, because my first 2 or 3 hours, my first almost 4 hours of the game, I was using a bucket and water and a broom, and I was like, where's this going? And it wasn't until I drove to another shop and saw what the upgrades are going to look like what I'm working towards, then I start to feel really excited. I like that the game's core basic experience is there. There's just a really core, solid design of a game, and it's just sitting there the way it is. Kind of like Stardew Valley, where you have a completely fleshed out farming system, and then there's all the other stuff that goes along with it. If you've ever played Stardew Valley, if it's not your kind of game, it's not your kind of game. But I would recommend and say that this is kind of in that same vein. There's a core mechanic here that's done really well. There's really no story. There's a little bit of like lore stuff kind of sprinkled around, just enough to kind of give you maybe a little bit of pause and kind of question certain things and make you want to learn more about it. But there's no other NPCs for a world that really feels like it wants some NPCs in it or something like that. I would say for sure though, the core basic experience is there, and that's exciting to me. That means this person really cares about this one particular aspect, has things he wants to add to it, but wants to make sure the beginning bit is really polished. As far as an early access game goes, I will say its bare bones are very polished. A lot of times you get an early access game that has really simple stuff that doesn't work, or that is broken, or that doesn't work within the parameters of their physics system or reality or whatever they're trying to sell to you. That's not the case here. This is very like, this all works really well, and it did before, from my understanding, prior to this update. I didn't play prior to this update, but I will say as of right now, there's a lot of hours to dump into this, and he's not even done, which I really like. A couple things that are a little broken that probably need to be addressed sooner than later. Rakes are kind of whatever, and I know before I said the inventory system is a little, it's non-existent. There's no inventory system. I mean, it's like a physical inventory system, so you're kind of managing your inventory. I would say it would be really cool if you could equip like a tool belt, maybe carry like 1 to 3 tools on you or something like that, or a mini storage or something like that. I know that, like I said, the developer's really hardcore about not doing that, but I think that could change. Another part of the review I guess I want to illuminate is a problem. The multiplayer is not good. Now, I watched a little video that the dev had. It was about 16 minutes long, where he kind of explained multiplayer and the future of multiplayer and what he wants to do and so on and so forth. I don't like his direction. I'm not for it. He basically says that if either A, he has to scrap it all together, which he doesn't want to do. B, he has to basically upgrade to a different game engine, which could change a bunch of stuff and just take more time, and then it may not work all that well anyway, which he doesn't want to do. Or C, what I say, A, B, and then C, get a publisher involved that will allow him to just have a little bit more funding behind it to make it work with just a couple more hands on deck. Which again, he really wants to stick with being an independent studio and not have to do that. He doesn't want anyone having their hands in his game direction or design at all. And I understand that. It's your baby. I get that. On the same end, I think the one thing this game is missing that I know people are going to want in the future, modders are going to make it. I mean, it's always going to be there. Is going to be multiplayer. By far, it's going to be multiplayer. Unless, much like in Stardew Valley, and I'm only mentioning this back to Stardew Valley because Stardew Valley has one simple core mechanic that works really well, and then around it there are a bunch of other things to do. If he fleshes this out to that degree at some point, like if there's villagers and there's quest lines or storylines to kind of unpack, I don't know, if there's more of that charm that he already has in this game, then cool. But I also know that that's kind of a tall order, a huge ask. You know what I mean? Stardew Valley's incredible, and it doesn't look anywhere near this good. I'm sure it's a little harder to develop stuff for something like this than it is for Stardew Valley. I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone, but one has a very deep physics system, and the other is Stardew Valley. I think multiplayer is really paramount. And obviously, I don't know if the developer will ever see this, but find a publisher that's going to give you what you want. They're out there. They're for sure out there, and they'll stay out of your shit, and you can do your thing your way. But find that, because I think the current multiplayer system, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't. It's not conducive to playing with your friends. It split screens on both ends, and not everybody can use, everyone has to use a controller. I think maybe one person could use a mouse and keyboard. And it's just, how do I say this? It's just awful. I mean, it's awful. Maybe it'll be great for console players, and maybe that's your bigger market. I don't know. But over here on the PC, we don't want to we don't want to grab our controllers and play this game, especially when you go from using a mouse and keyboard all the time and then you give someone a controller. It feels like I've had a stroke. It's like I know what I want to do and I know how to do everything, but I just physically can't do any of those things. I move slow, or I don't know how to move, or I can't do a certain move direction. It's like you've taken away all my muscle capacity. I maybe that's a little bit of an extreme example, but understand you're giving everyone a stroke. At the same time, I'm not trying to push anything on the developer in any capacity. He's made something really great right now. Yeah, it's Steam Remote Play. I have no fault in the lame, neglected multiplayer. Yes, agreed. At the same time, everything's great. I really like everything you're doing. I will still play this game regardless of a multiplayer. I'm generally a single player kind of gamer anyway. The multiplayer is really for everyone else. Multiplayer is so that I can bring a homie in and show him all my cool stuff. Just show him off, and he can play around in my world, or we can work on something together, or I can do this, with my wife. It's nice too. Another problem with the multiplayer is it's split screen down the center. This is a wide game. I need to be able to see as much as I possibly can. Split screen down the center, split screen top and bottom. It's going to be awful no matter what, because you want to be visually able to see it. Just figure that out in the long run. I'm sorry if you're tired of hearing this complaint, but it is what it is, and it sucks right now. It sucks, and if it's going to be sidelined going forward, that sucks too. I'm not saying you're going to lose any customers, because the game is still fucking badass. So I'm just throwing that out there. Hopefully you hear that That's really my only big complaint here. As far as the next bit of this, I think I'd like to just talk about what I hope. These are my hopes and dreams. Get a bigger screen, easy. Shut up. My hopes and dreams for Hydroneer. So obviously I mentioned multiplayer. That's a hope and dream. I really hope that they add NPCs that are just going to be like walking around the game. I haven't watched all of his developer videos, so that he might have already mentioned this. But more importantly, right now the current goal in the game is to just be as rich as possible. And I'm sure there's going to be options for buying more property locations, more houses, more gear, more vehicles. But ultimately, the goal in all of those is still to be as rich as possible. And I could just be way off base. You really may have already mentioned this, and I just may have missed it. I'm really hoping that you add some kind of... There's this game called Moonlighter, if any of you guys haven't played that, where you run a store, and sometimes certain items are more valuable than others. It's combat based, so you're just kind of gathering stuff. You make some things, you forge stuff, so on and so forth. That kind of aspect of this game would be really cool, where an NPC, travelers come to this island before they head off to adventures, or when they come back from adventures and they need equipment, and they request even, I need a blade. I need a 2-ton blade. I'll pay 25% over asking price or something like that. I really need a 4-ton emerald ring so I can fight a dragon. I don't know. It would be cool too if you could enchant items. I know we're already making weapons that we can't use, but it'd be cool to add like an enchanting aspect to this as well, where you're not only building the item, but you're also enchanting it with some kind of ability. Again, you don't I don't need to use the ability. That's not important necessarily in this game. It'd be cool, sure, if I could equip these swords or whatever, but I think it'd be cool if you could enchant it as well to kind of increase its value or something along those lines. A bigger map, I think a bigger map, or maybe procedurally generated. I don't think procedurally generated necessarily works in this setting. Obviously you have castles and there's shops in different locations, and a bunch of other stuff is in like kind of the right spot or the wrong spot. But I would say maybe allow for a procedurally generated map type where it's just a huge flat space, kind of Minecraft-esque in that regard, with none of the stuff. Maybe there's a general shop that has everything, and then a big flat dirt space. I think that would be nice to just kind of let people push the engine as far as they could. I always enjoy stuff like that. I wouldn't mind the tool belt or a backpack, an equipable one. I'm not trying to break the inventory system. I don't even want an inventory system, but it'd be cool if I could like dump a bunch of stuff in a backpack, some kind of magical backpack that just took a bunch of things, throw it on, and then take off where I need to go. Maybe if I just happen to be on foot, or maybe you add like a motorcycle to the game and I can just run and grab some stuff with the backpack. It'll all be very expensive and down the line. I don't mind any of that, but I think it would be fun to have those little aspects. Oh, races. Your vehicle control system is a lot of fun. This again goes into the multiplayer. I think there's a really missed opportunity there for races. We should be able to allowed to make some roads and some ramps, because I think it's a really fun physics system with the vehicles. And if you're going to add more vehicles, which I understand that that's the case, maybe some roads, because I want to race my friend. Also fix the multiplayer so I can race my friend. Anyway, that'll conclude my review. I'll get off my high horse. I really appreciate the game. All in all, I will leave it at this. It's a charming, well-polished early access experience right now. Just keep up the good work. Consider the multiplayer, or don't. It doesn't matter. I'm already bought in, and I'll be able to convince friends and family to play this as well. this is it has one of those type of experiences that you think about when you're making a game, or when you're playing a game. Sorry, when you're playing a game. Oh, it would be funny, or it'd be cool. Would it be cool if I only had to pick up one item at a time or something like that? Just from that one basic, simple thing, and then you've expanded on this so much more with water and steampunk type stuff. Very, very, very perfect early access experience. As far as early access goes, this is exactly what you ask for. We're all tired of early access stuff, but we're on PC. PC players are used to buggy games. However, it's really nice that you have a very well-polished, clean experience so that I can enjoy the game, and then when it breaks and stuff, it's fine. Whereas if it's breaking everything all the time, the menus or the sound doesn't work or something like that, whatever. Also, the music, just real outside little end note. Sometimes it sounds like I'm listening to like the track from We Were Soldiers, and then the other times it sounds like I've entered Rivendell. I don't know where you got the music from, but keep it up. It's really funny, but also really good. So yeah, and that's my review. Thanks for sitting through that, guys.